Welcome to the new video, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about all of the best decks you could be using to hit Easy Legend after the mini set came out. Enough time has passed for us to really see which are the big winners out of the new mini set, so in this video I'm gonna give you 5 of the best decks with which you could be hitting Easy Legend. We're gonna talk about mulligans, win rates, and general tips for him, but we're also gonna check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. If you find what I'm doing helpful, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But now, let's get into it. Before we get into the best decks, I'd just like to remind you, I have my very own Raid Shadow Legends channel, on which we just passed 15,000 subscribers for less than a year, which is literally insane, and I would really appreciate it if you actually check out my new channel. And if you want to support the channel for free, it would be awesome if you actually download Raid from my premium download link and start Raid with so many amazing champions as soon as you finish the tutorial. If you use my premium download link, you're gonna start yourself off with the legendary champion Narma the Returned, which recently got buffed, and she will really skyrocket your progress in the game from the get-go. And you're also gonna get 3 other amazing epics just for leveling up. Not only that, there's this huge collaboration event that Raid are doing with Assassin's Creed right now, and if you log in for 7 days, you're gonna get yourself the new legendary champion Ezio, who really will skyrocket your progress from the start. We also have other iconic characters like Basim, Edward, Bayek, and even Cassandra, which is the first champion from the new faction Argonites. So what are you waiting for? Download Raid from my premium download link, support the channel for free, and start Raid the right way with tons of amazing champions, and don't miss out on the cool new Assassin's Creed stuff. But now, let's get into the best decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be Ravenous Cliffdive Demon Hunter, and there's literally no new cards in this one because it was just so damn broken before, so why would you try to change anything in here if it's already busted? None of the new cards really do much for this type of archetype, so there's no reason to try and fit something new just for the sake of novelty, so you can still just be clapping cheeks with this one. And you can check out all of my detailed guides about this particular version of the deck. I did one just before the mini set came out, so you really should give that one a check if you really want to know how to play this deck. For the matchups, here's what we have right now. The newly formed Aura Paladin is actually gonna be somewhat of a problem against you, so there's that. But other than that, you will be having a very good time against everything else, including Dragon Warrior and Imbue Rogue, which a lot of people actually did enjoy. The updated mulligan guide is really not much different than what I showed you before, but yeah, when going first, you're gonna look for the weapon, the Grim Harvest, Blob of Tor, especially if you don't have the weapon already. The Portal is nice, Wyvern Slumber, Infestation depending on the matchup, Elise can be awesome, Access and Areas also makes sense, and if you already have Tusk Piercer, I would not be a stranger to keeping Ravenous Fell Hunter either. On the coin, we can see plenty of the same stuff, so mulligan accordingly. For other good Demon Hunter decks, we actually have plenty to choose from. Here's the one I'm showing you, 1700 games, 61 plus win rate, definitely nothing to scoff at. Big Demon Hunter is right behind it. Several other iterations of Ravenous Cliffdive, including ones that actually don't use Elise. But we can also see interesting things like Aggro Demon Hunter, which is still not using any of the new cards by the way, but also the Broxigar Demon Hunter is hella interesting right now, and I did give it a check, and I will be giving you a video about this deck really soon, so be on the lookout for that one. But yeah, Demon Hunter definitely has a lot of options, like Peddler Demon Hunter, Spell Demon Hunter, and anything in between. Plenty of stuff to go around for Demon Hunter, but most of the time you should be expecting Ravenous still. On the number 2 spot, of course, Midrange Shaman still is unscathed from the new mini set, nothing really counters it, and you don't even need anything new from the mini set either for you to still get some insane results, and here's what one of the best versions of the deck looks like right now. Not the biggest sample size, but again, 61 plus win rate, definitely solid. The interesting inclusions in here would be a Demolition Renovator, which definitely makes a lot of sense given how many Elises you're going to be facing, but you're going to notice there's no Hex in here, so you are going to be somewhat weaker against things like Ravenous Demon Hunter, but the rest pretty much looks same old same old. Ziliax is obviously Twin plus Perfect module, Alakir is gonna be able to OTK people, and the rest really is standard stuff, so again, check out my very detailed guides about this deck from before. As for the matchups, we don't have too much stats, but you're gonna be fine against Imbue. We could try some similar decks with a lot more games, like this one for instance has no Melia instead of Demolition Renovator, so that's gonna give us a much broader picture about how the matchups are gonna be looking like, and Corpse Death Knight is not gonna be your friend. That is a not so new deck, but it's definitely gaining a lot more popularity after the mini set because a few cards did make it a lot better. Ravenous Cliff Demon Hunter apparently is not going to be your friend. I mean, there's nothing apparent about it. That's one of the main reasons why Ravenous was so good in the first place. It literally counters this deck very nicely. Aura Paladin, again, would not be your friend, but the rest pretty much decent. When it comes down to the mulligan, going first, you are just going to try to curve off with your early game stuff. Turbulus would be great, Birdwatching, Hagata straight out, Murloc Growfen, Parrot Sanctuary can be insane, Flight of the Firehawk's also decent, and curving into Elise might also be pretty good. Don't get baited into to keeping pop-up book just because it's a 1-drop when you're going first. Playing that on 1 is not going to be a good idea. On the coin, however, again, you can see plenty of the same stuff, but here I could get behind pop-up book depending on the matchup though. For other shaman decks, this is the one I'm showing you. Not the biggest sample size, but when you combine all of these with 59+% win rate, it definitely does form a pretty good sample size for 1 or 2 card differences, so I think we can all agree the deck is still kind of cracked. The version we used for the matchups, here it is, looking pretty solid with 57.6, and we have plenty other iterations. If you're trying to beat Ravenous Demon Hunters, definitely slapping a Hex or 2 would be a good idea. Scrolling down further, we can see that the situation is not much different. It's literally just mid-range shamans right now, guys. It says right here. Nothing else really is cracking the threshold to be shown even with 200 games, so do with that as you will. Spot number 3 takes for BBU Control Death Knight, and this one at least has a few new cards in the form of Wicked Blightspawn, as well as a couple of Remnant of Rage, and I did try this deck last night, and it was pretty fun, especially when you manage to make your weapon very, very big. With the help of this guy, the foam render becomes kinda insane at the end, but also the extra card draw from the Remnant of Rage also ain't no joke. The funny thing about this deck is it's not running the leeches, it only has the 2 mana leech package. We don't have the 5 mana, we don't have the 6 mana big leech, but all around you should still be having a pretty good time with this one, and the weapon definitely puts the opponent on the clock, so that can be kinda nice. Anything else for the deck is not much different. I will be giving you a detailed guide about a very similar deck like this. It had double Wicked Blightspawn instead of Kerrigan, and we also had Headless Horseman, but the rest was pretty much same stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, but until then, let's see what the matchups are looking like. Not that bad, even though not that much sample size still. As for the mulligan, here's what we have. You are gonna want to keep your good early game stuff. You're gonna notice this deck really doesn't have too much in the form of 1, 2, 3, so anything that's under 4 mana, you're literally gonna be very happy to keep, and Elise would be a keep, no questions asked. If you're curving into a Blob or a Xavius, that might also make sense. The rest probably not so much, even though Exarch Meldar could make sense if you have a very good corpse supporting hand, Demolition Renovator depending on the matchup, that kind of stuff. On the coin, again, we can see plenty of the same stuff, but here I'd say holding on to Corpse Explosion against classes that might actually push you on the board super early might not be the worst idea in the world, even though the stats definitely don't support that claim. I would still think twice before throwing it away against an aggressive class. The sample size is kinda all over the place, however. This is the version I'm showing you, 700 games with 60+ win rate, not that bad, but as you see, we have several other iterations with smaller sample sizes and higher win rates, so all around the class does show it's very strong in this formation. Corpse Death Knight is also pretty strong, even though it kinda fell off. It was literally the best performing Death Knight deck a couple of days ago, but right now it's getting toned down a little, and I'm gonna have to scroll down quite a lot to actually find it, it seems. Hand Buff Death Knight is looking insane right now. Pretty solid win rate. It's been a while since I've seen these numbers on Hand Buff Death Knight, so I'm very happy the archetype is prospering. Corpse Death Knight, here's an iteration of it with some weird inclusions like Assimilating Blight instead of frickin' Grave Strength. I guess it's a very different Corpse Death Knight. Here's the one I actually showcased not long ago. It is having still a pretty decent 57+ win rate. Stegodon Death Knight still usable, and so on and so forth. Plenty of different iterations for Death Knight, not gonna lie. Like, look at all of this archetype list you could be going for. All of them actually kind of interesting. Imbue Death Knight, stay away from that. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. Spot number 4 goes for Aura Pally, and as you guys saw, this deck was actually very strong in the matchup section against the other top tier decks right now, so that is one of the main reasons why this deck is actually so good. Aura Pally definitely received a lot of good support cards from the new mini set, and basically the Acceleration Aura really threw it over the top right now. This is actually a Bubble Pally version of Aura Pally, which is kind of interesting. So far I've showed you 2 more Aura concentrated Paladin lists, which definitely did sound pretty good, and the stats for them are pretty strong, but seems like the Bubble Pally version is the one that's actually the strongest right now, which is kind of interesting. This one does have things like Manifest Timeways, you fish out the Acceleration Aura thanks to your Violet Treasure Gill. We have Elise, of course, a couple of Tank Engineers, a couple of Carnivorous Cubicles, Toref, which could be insane into a Carnivorous Cubicle, Nomelia for some clear, and a Chronos as well, and at the end we have Gelban plus Ziliax. In this list we do not have Dorian, which definitely does sound like a little bit of a greedier card, but if you pop off with Dorian on turn turn 5 and you swing with Urson Maul, that basically allows it to do a turn 6 Gelbin, which could be huge. But yeah, all around this list does not run it. I will be doing an updated video about this deck probably on Wednesday if I'm not mistaken, so be on the lookout for this particular list, but until then, let's see what them matchups are looking like. No surprises here, everything is hella green, so no wonder this deck is at the top of the naughty list right now. Very, very strong stuff. Going first, of course, Violet Treasure Guild would be an absolute MVP, but if you don't have him, straight up Acceleration Aura also makes sense. Righteous Protector is okay on one, even though it's not the most important thing in the world to be playing a 1-drop with this deck. At least the Navigator could be huge. Tank Engineer, if you're curving into it, would be nice. Same can be said for Urson Maul. I would literally never keep the Wisp. Like, why are people keeping the Wisp so much, guys? Like, what's the point of this? Dream Planner Zephyrus is okay. Manifest the Time Waves, especially if you have the Aura or the Treasure Guild. And straight up holding on to Gelbin could be an okay thing to do if you already have a pretty good curve. Just make sure to make the math out before you plop your Acceleration Aura on turn 2, because if you want to be doing a faster Gelbin, playing it on turn 4 would be a lot more beneficial for you. On the coin, again, plenty of the same stuff, so mulligan accordingly. For other good Paladin decks, this is the one I'm showing you. Look at this nonsense. 4,000 plus games, guys, with 60+% win rate. Insane. Here's the other version I showed you, I think, with 24,000 games. Like, what is happening, dudes? Everybody and their grandmother is playing Pally right now, and for good reasons. Acceleration Aura is just kind of cracked. Again, pretty huge win rate. You can check out my detailed guide about that, but also aggro Pally seems to be raking in the wins. Good stuff against for them. Maybe they're probably good against Aura Pally, I'd assume. And scrolling down further, we can see nothing else really works much. Imbue Pally still kind of dog water. And the last deck on the list is actually not gonna be Dragon Warrior, guys. It is indeed gonna be Quest Warrior. Quest Warrior seems to be doing very, very well in the current meta, and one of the reasons is I think it's pretty good against Aura Paladins, and with all of them on ladder right now, this guy should be farming nicely. This is an interesting iteration of Quest Warrior, however. Like, I haven't been seeing these type of cards in a long while, like Ungoro Brochure included makes a lot of sense, because drawing yourself a couple of minions kinda almost ensures you're gonna get yourself your Ziliax on time for the most part, and also having a 7-mana Bouldering Buddy is kind of interesting, and the reason behind this guy is he's your only 7-drop, but also he's an elemental, so things like All You Can Eat are gonna come out full for the most part. The rest of the deck looks pretty standard stuff, aside from Murazon Unbounded, which is a little bit of a win more card if you ask me, but to be fair, it's a lot easier to slap a Murazon plus gain an extra turn and win like that, instead of trying to set up a good board and then gain an extra turn and win like that instead. The rest of the deck, you're very familiar with it, you all know it, you all hate it. To play against it at least. And yeah, it does have a lot of armor gain, it does have a lot of control and a lot of card draw, so it is very strong in this current meta. Let's see the matchups, and we can't actually see that it's good against Aura Pally right here, but I'm pretty sure it should be, and also decent against BBU Control Death Knight and decent against Dragon Warrior, I guess. If we go for a similar deck, this one does have a lot more win rate for one Shield Slam instead of Draco Rex. And here are the matchups. Wow, actually not that great against Aura Pally. Kinda weird. Definitely thought it should be, but maybe it just has a little bit too much value against it. Anyway, mulligan wise, here's what we have. Going first, you are gonna want to get your ramp, the quest obviously, card draw in the form of Shield Block or All You Can Eat. At least it's a straight up keep. Ungoro can be amazing. Depending on the matchup for Glory could be super good, but honestly, for the most part, it could be a great keep. And again, depending on the matchup, things like Hostile Invader could be great. Demolition Renovator might also be worth it if you're expecting an early location from the opponent. On the coin, it's gonna be plenty of the same stuff again, so now you know. For other good warrior decks, as you see, we have plenty of different versions of Quest Warrior at the top, some Dragon Warriors as well, but the first decently sized sample size Quest Warrior is this one, which I'm showing you, with almost 1,000 games, with almost 60% win rate, so yeah, that's why we showed that one, instead of Dragon Warrior, which is also raking in the wins, not gonna lie, and it definitely did receive a good amount of support, but the first decently sized sample size deck is this one with 1,100 games with 58+ win rate, which definitely ain't bad, but it's not as good as the Quest Warrior, I can tell you that much. We have several different iterations of Dragon Warrior, really. This one is the super popular one with 57% win rate, definitely looking pretty strong, and again, check out my guide about it if you want to see how it plays out. It's not the exact same list, mine has the revive for the 6/9s, this one is a little bit slower with the Portal Vanguard, which is still okay, but yeah, all around right now, it's either going to be Quest or Dragon Warrior, at least for now. Who knows if that spell damage Dragon is going to come out strong for this class at some point. So that's about it for the top 5 decks. Now let's check out the classes we haven't mentioned. Starting off with Druid, we can see that Copy Druid is still pretty strong, and it did receive a little bit of support in the form of Acceleration Aura, but also the new Press the Advantage is looking pretty solid in it, and I did try this deck last night, and it was hella fine with the Aulonius OTK, really strong stuff. We have several other versions of this deck, some better than others. Stun Druid still kinda playable, but not really, and the rest is just going from bad to worse. For Hunter, Face Hunter is still gonna be the way to go, but Discover Hunter is also still pretty solid. TikTok Hunter, however, not so strong, so you probably best stay away from it, even though some people in my stream chat do insist they are climbing very well with it. Look at that nonsense. With Mage, Protoss Mage seems to be the best bet right now, even though Elemental Mage still does give you some quick wins. It's not gonna be as often as it used to. The deck used to be like 57% before the mini set came out. Now that win rate is getting quite slashed. You're still gonna climb, but not as fast, that's for sure. I have been seeing a lot more Dragon Arcane Mages against me as well, so there's that too, but so far the deck doesn't really do that well in the overall statistics. For the Priest class, Protoss Priest seems to be at the top of it, and we're gonna have to scroll quite a lot to see something different, but Zarimi Priest is also playable. But honestly, I have a feeling this is not an updated list, because why the hell would you not be running the new 6/9 Dragon? I have no idea. Imbue Priest is playable, but just that. For Rogue, people have been experimenting with Imbue Rogue quite a lot, but so far the archetype really is not clicking. So for now, the best deck still would be Ashamain Rogue, but Templar Rogue is also playable quite well. And we can scroll further to see something different. A lot of different versions of Imbue Rogue. Psycho Rogue still playable in skilled hands. And I'm pretty sure Aggro Rogue is still playable, but the sample size for it is non-existent, it seems. And the last class we still haven't mentioned would be Warlock, and Egg Warlock seems to be your best bet. Even though Shred Warlock really did feel like it's gonna be clapping right now, it's still kinda mediocre at best. So that's about it for this top 5, guys. Do let me know in the comments which is your favorite Hearthstone deck right now, and drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you feel like I've earned your support. Download Rate for my premium download link if you want to support the channel for free, and don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.